state as a legal person. When the idea of legal person, the first is corporation, and the idea of legal person, the idea of state as a legal. The idea of legal person is obviously older than capitalism and modernity, and the idea of legal person was granted to guilds and public services and public associations long before capitalism. But the idea of corporation or company as a legal person is more closely related to capitalism. And the important concept of limited liability is also probably in its probably a more recent thing, probably emerged in 19th century. And I think the idea of the state as a legal person in this sense even if it existed before capitalism, I think in modern context, the idea of legal person, the state as legal person, is closely connected with capitalist states. So to say that the state in the sense of legal person is something new is basically to say that capitalist state is something new. But from this, to draw the conclusion that the state is something new is to conflate, I think, capitalist state with the state. The capitalist state is a new form of a state, different from previous states in its concentration of power and money and its capabilities, and the fact that it encompasses the whole life, the life of individual as well as our social life, is something new. But that doesn't mean that the concept of state is something new. And I think that's what might be going on here when they claim that the state is something modern. It didn't exist before the modern period. So what we can claim is that the capitalist state didn't exist before the modern period. But from this, we can't draw the conclusion that the state per se didn't exist before the modern period. Because I think the basic distinction we should draw is between government and the state. And I think the basic difference is the government is a relatively temporary form of government. The state is more permanent form of government. And then we can, make various other distinctions: a state as an institution and the state as the general form of rationality or general form of legitimate use of power, for example, and the sources of power within society which are more considered legitimate and are rather permanent, and they don't change with change of the personnel of governments, for example. And then we have a new form of government which we call a legal person. So these are the three levels. So I think to say that the modern state is something new is true. A capitalist state is something new, but from that we can't draw the conclusion that the state is something new. Okay.